All right, let's talk Notre Dame Fighting Irish here for a little bit. Look, the Fighting Irish, especially when it involves the quarterback position, has been involved with a little bit of volatility over the past week or so. But I think all the news that has come out actually supports a really good narrative for Notre Dame and will be huge for them once we get into the regular season.
Yeah, Nick, I think Notre Dame is looking really good this year. They looked really good last year, had an impressive player. Obviously, we see Michael Meyer go in the early rounds of the NFL draft. But that leads me to the question of today's video. Who, speaking of Meyer, is your favorite Notre Dame pass catcher of all time? There's a lot of really great ones out there, so let us know in the comments below. Who's your favorite Notre Dame pass catcher of all time? But nonetheless, Nick, let's get into the latest news for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, this was reported last week and confirmed by pretty much everyone. Tyler Buchner is leaving Notre Dame or has left Notre Dame. He's transferred out of the program. Obviously, that means Hartman will be the starting quarterback going forward. And I think my first thought was like, that's kind of weird. I thought Notre Dame, we did a story about this. There were some reports that Buchner was competing with Hartman really close. It was kind of a 1A, 1B. There was no surefire winner yet. But to me, when I first heard this news and I first heard the story, I'm like, okay, to me, this means Hartman clearly separated himself from the pack, even though some reporting may have been the other way. In the eyes of the coaches and the eyes of the experts, it seems like Hartman is a clear number one. Buchner was probably told that, and that's why he was probably relegated to transferring out. I think that's what happened there. And there was a report out of The Athletic that kind of exactly shows a lot of what the coaching staff may have been seeing in Buchner. If you want to go ahead and pull it up, Miles, I will read from it. For the progress Tyler Buchner showed during spring practice, it was just the start of his growth into becoming a reliable starter. His performance during an open practice in early April looked like a player building on the Gator Bowl. His performance in the blue and gold game looked like a quarterback who'd reverted to Ohio State and Marshall form. Not good. Notre Dame can't gamble on that kind of quarterback. It wants to challenge for the college football playoff. That's why Hartman is here in the first place. Miles, I think this reporter hits the nail on the head. I think that's exactly why Freeman, and this I'm speculating this because I obviously don't know. I'm not in the locker room, but the fact that Buchner transferred out right away so quickly makes me think Freeman was told him, listen, man, you're not our starter. We're going to go with Hartman. He's going to be our one guy through training camp, through the season. We want you here. We want you here to be our backup, but Hartman's going to be the starter. He won the job outright. Buchner's like, all right, I don't want to be here as a backup. I'm out. I think that's exactly what happened here. And I think we're starting to see why they leaned on Hartman. They saw a lot of what they liked at times with Buchner during the spring, but he didn't give them the high potential, the high ceiling, and the consistency that they brought in Hartman to deliver to this Notre Dame offense. I think that's why they're going with him. I think it's the right move to make. If Hartman is ready, if Hartman is comfortable in Notre Dame offense, which accordingly he is, it's 100% the right move to make to give him the starting job. He gives him the higher ceiling. He gives him a lot more potential to be much more explosive, put up more points, which you're going to need to do against some of their brutal competition. I think with that in mind, Buchner leaving is actually a good sign for Notre Dame because it means Hartman is already ready to be the guy for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish come the regular season. Miles, give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, Nick. So you speak about Hartman. Is he ready? I think he absolutely is. And I also like the point you bring up in the article about the regression potentially of Buchner during the spring game, because that was the exact opposite case for Hartman. He had a bunch of progression, and that is really surprising because there's a lot of guys who would come into a new offensive system early on, learning a new system, going into your first spring game, your first really like competitive game. It would be up and down, make a play here, make a mistake here. That was not the case for Hartman. During the spring game, he was 13 of 16 for 189 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. It's a pretty clean stat line to me. Really, it looks like he really performed very well in the offensive system of Notre Dame. I think that is exactly the point that you're bringing up. He clearly separated himself from Buchner, who seems like he kind of underperformed in the spring game. And for a guy who's been in the program, should know the offense, should know everything. When the new guy comes in, performs better than you, that does not look good. And that is why Buchner has left town, and Hartman is now the guy for the Fighting Irish. And I like it. I think that he's a very, very good quarterback. I think he's had a lot of experience. He's performed at a very high level, and he seems like the guy to take this Notre Dame team back to the former glory that they need to be at, back to where they're contending, fighting, potentially trying to make a push for the college football playoff. I think that this is the guy that's going to get you there, other than a guy like Buchner, who could get you there, could not get you there. You're not really sure. He's shown a flash here, but also he's shown regressions there. And that's not exactly who you want to bet the house on going forward.